Hello and welcome to TV Chef Fantasy League. I'm your host and commissioner, Sierra Cato, here with my co-host, Mike Cabalon and Ify Wadiway.
Wow,
Yay!
Oh
both of us
yeah.
here and
Yeah.
coming
All
to you
three.
remote from our homes that are all
Yeah.
probably less than a couple miles away from each other.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Pretty close.
Oh man.
Gotta love it. But very excited to, well, I guess, yeah, Ify, we did cover MasterChef and the Top Chef finale without your thoughts, but I wondered if
That's
you had
right.
any thoughts, especially about that Top Chef finale.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to like actually like be locked in when I was like, like I knew I was losing the league,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel
Why
like
pay
that's
attention?
Fair,
Who
fair.
cares?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not,
but it was good to see Tristan is who I wanted to go all the way, and do his thing. He's very like solid. He's like there's the league take, and then there's the like
sure.
invested take, and
Yeah, yeah.
now we'll see if how that hairline looks next time we see him.
Ooh.
Like if he's
Very
like, oh, I'm
exciting.
gonna show,
Takes
I'm
a
gonna
quick
show.
flight to Turkey.
Yeah, that's all we need these days.
Yeah.
Plenty of options. No, that's great. Yeah, and it wasn't the most exciting, upending finale, right? It was
Yeah.
definitely what we expected, but it was nice to see the person we felt probably was in the running to win. But yeah, now we're on to dynamic duos, of course. So it's anyone's game. I've already
Well,
seen
it's more
some.
so
Mhm.
your game than me and Iffy's because we've already lost a team apiece. So you're
Yeah.
already you've
Oh no,
already kind of got a
I
leg up on us.
I
Yeah.
lost our favorites, Kevin,
Wait, did you have Kevin and
Kevin
Trey?
and
Oh, I
Trey.
thought that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
Iffy. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, never
No.
mind
Yeah,
then.
yeah. As we'll see. Yeah, I think I'm not sure. Yeah, but you did lose one this time. All
Yeah,
right,
okay,
we'll
so
get into
Iffy's
that.
actually up.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
that makes me happy too because I was gonna get Kevin and Trey, and then you stole them. So now I'm like, all right,
Yeah, good
maybe
thing. Good thing you
maybe
missed
the
Kevin.
fantasy league, gods are like, no, it's time.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Wait, sorry, Val. I'm gonna pause because my QuickTime like disappeared, and I just want to make sure
Yeah.
Oh.
it didn't stop recording, but I like can't find it. How do I do this?
No worries, we're good. Good looking out.
I feel like it's frozen or something. Okay, maybe I'll. Oh, okay, I see it here. Let me just stop, and then I might just do two files. Sorry. Show all windows. Okay, that helps. Yeah, weird. Okay. Saving this one. Okay, sorry for the unsyncing. Okay, I am back in. All right, I'll just go back in. But yes, here we are back with episode 5 of MasterChef Dynamic Duos. I will say, we received an email. We'll kind of backtrack to Top Chef, but we got one pot and or pan. Jay went to
We still haven't
Cesar's
figured out how to
restaurant.
say a singular pot and
Yeah,
pan.
yeah,
Are you a
that
pot? Are you a
it's
pan?
yeah. I think we
I
got
think
to
we could
ask
just mix it up every
individually.
time. Yeah, we just pick
Right.
one, and then
One
we just mix it
pan,
up.
one
I don't.
pot.
For some reason, it feels like derogatory to me. Like this little pot wrote in.
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, careful who
But
you
when
say
you put
that
it, when you
about.
say it, when you deliver it like that, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa,
This little sweetie rolled in.
Whoa, yeah, anything you say. Sure. So we'll let Jay decide. But Jay wrote in about going to Cesar's restaurant in Chicago called North
Oh,
Pond.
okay. Not on a Monday. I tell you that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, clearly picked the right day of the week to go. Yeah, and said it was great. There were like only a few things that weren't amazing, but overall amazing. And they went for a birthday dinner, so they got a little souvenir birthday menu to take home. Seems like
Cute.
an
Love
all-around
that.
great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a drawer full of okay, this sounds like more of a brag than I meant for it too when I started this sentence. I have a drawer full of like little souvenir menus from like fancy restaurants, and it's like that is very nice. I appreciate it. They are just sitting in a drawer. I don't know what to do with them. I'm not saying I don't want them. I want them. I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe-
do you frame them? Do you?
Yeah, exactly. It feels a little
Make a scrapbook and
Yeah.
then auction off the scrapbook for a one lucky pot and or pan. Throw it into the Max Fun Drive of next year. But yeah, so thank you for writing in, Jay. As we always say, we love to hear about any pots and pans
Food
venturing out into the
adventures.
world.
Can
Yeah,
I
we love
tell
it.
you guys about a food venture that I had yesterday?
Yes.
A friend of mine can't make my wedding, and so yesterday he took me out on a world tour of Los Angeles. It took the whole day, and we had one thing from every continent on
Oh
Earth,
my
and
goodness,
it
that's so
was so
sweet.
much fun, and I ate so much food. If you can do this in your town, I highly recommend it. You gotta plan in some walking time. You have to treat it like
Oh,
Disneyland. You're eating so many calories, you just have to walk like several
hmm.
miles to burn it off. So in between, we would like take walks and stuff. And then at the end, we're like, oh, LA is the kind of city where you could do this like a dozen times over and like in a completely different manner every
Oh,
time.
cool.
You know what I mean?
What's Antarctica?
Okay, so that's the hardest one because Antarctica doesn't export anything. You can't really get anything from Antarctica, but the like number one soda from Brazil, it's like a guarana soda and it says like product of Antarctica on it. And like the
What?
packaging is like manufactured in Brazil for this Antarctican company.
Whoa.
So we're like, that counts. That's the only thing that could possibly count. I could see an argument for like if I did this again, you could probably find some like, whale blubber jerky or something like that. But the we
Sure.
set like he set like rules where it's just like it has to be like a thing that's actually from that place. We have to go to a different neighborhood every time, so we saw like every corner of LA. It was like the most fun I've had in a long time.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, that's quite a commitment. Love it. Love it. Very worldly. Good friend. Val just let us know that bookkeeper Jen went to Bailey's restaurant Monteverde in Chicago. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
not only Bailey's restaurant, but former Top Chef contestant Sarah Grunberg's restaurant.
That's right. Oh
Mean racist bully
my.
Sarah
Looks really,
Grunberg's restaurant.
yeah, yummy. The pictures look good. Yeah, as we know, Bailey just always crushing that Italian, and she was always referencing what she learned in Monteverde. So very cool. She was what, like chef de cucina or something.
That also
Great.
feels offensive when you say it.
Sorry. It's the way I said it.
Okay.
All
Oh, I'm just now
respect to
seeing the
the
pictures that bookkeeper Jen
Italians.
sent, and these are so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Sopressata
Looks
meatballs.
delicious.
Oh my
Yummy.
God. All right, we gotta go to
Get
Monteverde.
your gut, yeah, get your butts to Monteverde. All
Yeah,
right.
where are these pictures at? I'm not seeing a picture.
Oh, they
Text
came to the
messages.
text thread
Oh,
here.
okay. My computer at home is a PC, so I got to pull it out.
Whoa.
Oh wow.
While Iffy is pulling up his PC pictures, I don't want to take up too much time by running through everything that I had yesterday, but I will say that we went to a Somali restaurant for the
Oh,
Africa portion
wow.
of the meal, which I did not know.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Oh gosh, okay, I should have had the name pulled up. It's called Banadir, I think, but
Cool.
it's in Inglewood here in LA, and it is the like I cannot recommend it enough, mostly because yeah, Banadir. Um, because I feel like a lot of our pots and pans aren't going to choose to go to a Somali restaurant. But dude, it was. And look, I will admit I'm victim to the bias. From the outside, I was like, I'm going to get food poisoning from this place for
Yeah.
sure. This is not a good place to eat. We walked in immediately. The guy behind the counter like threw his arms up. Was like, "Welcome, guys, come on in." It was the fucking best. It was like the best goat meat I've ever had. They served a banana
Oh.
on the side. I don't know if that's a common
Mm.
Somalian thing. If there are any Somali pots and pans out there, please tell me if banana is a common side because we were very confused how to eat it with the meal. But it was like so much more like tropical than you would expect like an African meal to be. There was like a sauce that tasted like jalapeno cilantro. I'm like, this feels very Latin. It was delicious. So highly recommend Banadir Somali restaurant here in LA.
Oh.
Amazing. Banadir, shout out and confirming from Val that is a common Somali food. Very
Yeah.
great.
Whoa. Okay, Val, how do you know that?
uh are we getting a live answer? I forget. Val says
Wow,
I forget
okay.
how, but
Okay.
that's
The
perhaps the
coward's
coolest
answer.
no. Just knows, that's the best way to know something. You've always been knowing. So let's get into this episode. But very exciting food adventures. We love to hear them. This is the mystery box episode. The episode title is Mr. E and Mrs. Box. Tough one,
What?
tough one there.
Mystery
It's
and
It's like Mr. and
Like a Mr.
Mrs.,
and
but
Mrs.
Mr. E and Mrs. Box.
Boo! Get out of
Like
here,
maybe it should be
MasterChef
Mrs. and
titlers.
Mystery Box. I don't know,
Yeah.
very tough, very sweaty title. I think, it sounds like something I would come up with last minute and send it to
Right.
Val. Please title our episode this. I don't know. But they did their best. They don't think people are probably reading those. But hey, it's the very first mystery box challenge of the season.
Yes.
So we come in, we're in Australia. There's 11 duos left. And the cook something with at least 2 of your mystery box ingredients. They get 2 boxes. One box is full of sweet ingredients. The other is full of spicy ingredients. And each dish must incorporate, those 2 of each. As we know, last week's winners were Michelle and Zach. And I did kind of clock their outfits this time. I made sure to look at them again because Mike has mentioned they kind of dress a little younger maybe than they are. I feel like this time around it was just sort of the baggy style. She had some kind of cool earrings on. It wasn't as egregious as in times past.
And I also want to clarify, I don't mean it as a judgment. They look very cool. I'm just like, why was this the costume that was chosen for them? Sometimes the costume is very like, I get it. I get why you picked that outfit for that person.
Sure.
And for these people, I'm like, why are you trying to dress them like their own kids are embarrassed by them? Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah, fair. And we know they have a kid, I think. It didn't come up this time.
He's one, but still.
Yeah, he's embarrassed by them though. We know, we checked. No, they're very cool looking. She's got some cool tattoos. But yeah, so they are the ones who won last week. So they get to choose a protein, whoever or whatever. They get to choose the protein that each duo cooks with, which is kind of a cool advantage.
I do think they kind of fumbled it a couple times.
Oh yeah, they really didn't work in their favor in multiple ways.
Yeah.
As they were rolling out these proteins, though, I did kind of wonder how long the meat had been sitting there because I feel like some of the seafood looked very melty.
It's display meat. Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of what Sam, when we, shout out to our bonus content, we did interview a former contestant and what of MasterChef specifically is Mike's friend, right? But yeah, he did kind of say that a lot of the food kind of sits there for a while as they're trying to, switch cameras and all that. So that did not look like it was that crisp, but I hope they didn't cook directly with that protein. Movie magic. I don't know. Any thoughts on these proteins? You guys have a favorite of the bunch?
I feel like, okay, my thing was like, this is more so a production question than a food question, but it did make me wonder, especially now that they're flying all the contestants out to Australia. I'm like, how much interaction do these contestants have with each other? Do you know what I mean? Like in Top Chef, we see them like living next door to each other and hanging out in the lounge and stuff. And it's like, well, we know because we've interviewed a few past contestants, they like stay in the same hotel. But I'm like, are they getting to know each other? Because why would you give seafood to 2 chefs from Boston and be like, good luck with that? And it's like, they're gonna knock it out of the park.
That's
what
kind
was
of
your
their
strategy
whole
there?
thing. Yeah.
So it's like if they had talked to them for 2 seconds, they would have heard the Boston accent and be like, let's not give them seafood. But I was like, maybe they just didn't talk to them at all. You know what I mean? Because they're just being shuttled from their hotel room to the set and then they're on camera and then they go back home. And it's like, I don't know,
I mean, what I'll say about that is my only reference is The Floor, as we've talked about, where they fly everybody out to Dublin and film that.
Yeah.
And they're like so tight and they like cry when they get knocked. Like when somebody gets knocked off, they're like crying and they're like, he was like my dad. And so I feel like they all get bonded maybe a lot because they don't know anyone in the city. So they're probably like, where are we going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Are you a big The Floor person? Are you watching
I do watch every episode of The Floor. I think it's quite entertaining, but the part of why it is because these people are very close, and it was very confusing for a minute until I learned they're all in Dublin, and then I was like, they're just hitting the pub every night,
Yeah.
You get close like that. But wait, Iffy, what do you think of their Boston accent?
Yeah,
Jesse and Jessica
is a resident expert on the Boston accent.
Yeah.
It leaves a lot to be desired.
No.
I feel like if they I can coach them, I can get them right.
Yeah, you're right. Hit them up, DM them.
Yeah.
Jesse and Jessica. Yeah, it was funny to hear. Just like I honestly hadn't noticed that. I think in their first few episodes or whatever, and it's like certain words at the end. Okay,
Jessica
I guess I
to me
hadn't
sounds
noticed.
like. Do either of you guys watch Reacher on Amazon?
No.
The best show on television, Reacher. On the most recent season, it takes place in New England, and the like lady cop that Reacher has a dalliance with is like this fucking tough
Ooh,
ass Boston. And it's like it's
Yeah.
so that's exactly what Jessica sounds like to me.
Okay.
nice.
Looks like I need to
Hot.
watch it.
Oh, you
Yeah.
have to. It's the best worst show on television.
Oh,
It's like it's not even bad. It's just it's so for dads. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
It is enjoyable
get that
because it's
sense.
so for dads. Every third scene, the characters go like, "Okay, so to recap, here's what we're doing and here's why we're doing it," because they assume
Good.
that the dads are falling asleep. You know what I mean?
The dads, yeah, they're in the lazy boy. They're
Yeah.
starting to nod off. But I mean, is that's the one where the guy's huge, right? And his whole
Oh
like
yeah.
I've heard that he's just it's just a lot of like brute force of like
He's-
I've got
yeah,
brawn
yeah,
and
yeah.
we're doing the punching. That's
Yeah,
good.
it's a very like the spirit of it is like good guy with a gun. You know what I mean? It's like
Okay,
he
Yeah.
is
got it,
like the
got it.
biggest, smartest guy in the room, but he does it for justice, you know?
Well, then that's fine. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Got it. Okay, Reacher, check it out. If you're dad or if you're not, you know.
Yeah.
I let's see. So they choose these proteins, you know, as we discussed. It's pretty obvious, but they, of course, we've got Darcy and Courtney who are the vegans. They choose
Right.
chicken for them. What do you guys think of that? Chicken for the vegans.
Hmm. I think that's an easy kind of vegan kind of layup because
Hmm.
I feel like with with chicken, it's often imitated in vegan dishes. So
Mhm.
Right.
I feel like that they're like, this is probably the best one.
I
Yeah, I
think
was
if I'm not,
surprised.
go ahead. I think their strategy, if I remember correctly, they were like, well, anyone else would knock chicken out of the park, so let's just like give it to the vegans because
Yeah,
they'll fuck up anything no matter what
That's
anyway,
so
right?
funny.
that was
Yeah.
kind of smart. Mhm.
Yeah, because I'm like, look, I'm not gonna the couple that made like curry their first episode, don't give them the chicken. They're gonna make the most delicious chicken you've ever seen in your
Sure.
life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think it's like I get it. It's like you could give them anything and they would fuck it up, so or they wouldn't enjoy it.
Right, right. Yes, we definitely get some shots of that. Them using chicken stock, getting kind of, you know, sad about that. We'll get into that. But yeah, so because Darcy and Courtney don't cook with this a lot, of course, they get half a
Hmm.
point for getting that
Nice.
chicken. So we were talking about Jesse and Jessica getting the prawns. They did say we cook shrimp every other day, and they do end up on top. So they get a point.
Okay,
No.
okay.
And then let's see, let's go through all these people. We got Ashley and Ricky. They're the siblings, right? Who it doesn't turn out too great for them. They got the filet mignon.
They really made me
uh,
feel so stupid because the second they were on the chopping block, I was like, of course. Like
oh,
when I drafted them, my mentality was like, no, I could see them going all the way. And then when they're on
Yeah.
the bottom, I was like, I don't know what I was thinking. That was insane to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. You were draft drunk, you know?
they had some.
Draftmatized.
Yeah.
They did seem like they kind of because they were so like I feel like they had strong personalities and were very ambitious. Like I think that kind of felt
Yeah,
right, but then they didn't know what they were doing. So that's tough. You
right,
can be ambitious, but you can be ambitious in the wrong direction
Oh yeah.
right,
and
right.
still fail. So I thought it was funny when Tiffany said, interesting, when they're a spice rub on the filet mignon. Interesting. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. Tina and Yvonne, they're, of course, very strong contenders. They got the short ribs. Tina was very adamant they didn't use a pressure cooker, though. So they had to kind of like shave it down, make it thin, use this sort of acidic marinade to tenderize it, which was very smart.
I think that was
Mhm.
actually a really good like encapsulation of like bigger trends in the culinary world over the last couple of decades is like we generally recognize the quote unquote fine dining as like the European stuff, Italian and French and stuff like that. And the Eastern countries are like poor people food, right? Like the curries, they're gross. That's not fine dining. And I feel like this show, like MasterChef, is sort of it's not as like highfalutin as Top Chef. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not
Yeah.
talking about the most fine dining stuff, and so it did feel very on brand for them to be like, "Oh, well, short ribs, you have to use a pressure cooker. There's simply no other way." And then for like this like Asian auntie to be like, "No, I got it. It's all right. Trust
Yeah.
me, I can do this."
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like they kind of I hadn't even really clocked that like that was the only way to make that. So that
Yeah, I mean, Gordon
yeah,
literally
so
said the word,
interesting.
like said words that were akin to something like, "Oh, it's I'm not suggesting, I'm telling you, you're gonna have to use a pressure cooker." And
Sure.
she was like, I've made this before. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, yeah. Calm down.
Yeah.
So obviously they do quite well, as we'll see. And then Rachel and Julia, we hadn't really seen much of them, right? They're the ones that kind of
Yeah.
got nothing much in the auditions, a little bit, and maybe the first episode barely. But they get octopus, and they're feeling pretty good about their octopus. So that was it could have
I
gone wrong. Uh-huh.
even now I'm feeling pretty good about them just because like it seems like this was the episode they've gotten the most screen time so far, and I don't sense much beyond them just being like, we should apply to MasterChef. Maybe we'll win. Do you know what I mean? Like there's not
Sure.
drama. They don't have a huge story, not a huge background. They're just like, we're here to cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They seem very like good communication. Val actually said here, she wonders if Julio and Rachel had a chance to try cooking the octopus behind the scenes in between shoots, because that's something that maybe Sam mentioned in our bonus content shout out, that the contestants might get kind of a chance to practice in their downtime. So maybe that's why, because they didn't say anything about, oh, we cooked octopus all the time or anything.
Right.
But it is certainly one of the more challenging proteins. So we wonder why they did it so well,
Interesting.
especially when they were struggling a little in the middle.
Yeah.
But
Or they're
but
just
yeah,
good at it. Who knows? Maybe they're just, they look. Brazil is a coastal country. Maybe he's cooking octopus left and right. We don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's true. Who am I to question them? And then Azu and Javier, the divorcees, they got venison loin. Their first dust up is when Gordon gets on them for not really having anything green on the plate. So like he's almost like, you're going home. It was very like dramatic, where it was like, whoa, is he
Yeah.
sending them home right now? And then she's like, oh, I'll make a salad. I'll make a salad. Oh,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Kind of broke my
Yeah.
heart. It's very sad to see people like panic in front of Gordon. But I ultimately do
Yeah.
think he's right. It's like they were gonna make meat and potatoes, and it's like you're on a have you seen this show? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a good meal, but you kind of gotta step it up a
Step it
little.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw something else in there, especially venison. I feel like that can be very like gamey, aggressive. Like if that's a meat, you're really
Right,
getting
right.
meat there. But there was a little drama between the divorcees. I think they kind of weren't on the same page. I mean, maybe they play it up because they know that's their backstory, so they kind of want to be like the divorcees. Yeah, it's not going well, but
Right, right.
but yeah, there was some back and forth. I think Azu was like, "Leave me alone"
Yeah.
at
Hmm.
some point, but understandable. It happens. And then Darcy and Courtney with these are the vegans. They got the chicken as we discussed.
Hmm.
We saw them thanking the bees for their honey. We saw them stress out about the chicken stock.
Right.
Um, they made a dish with what Joe mentioned was Israeli couscous, and I know Val has you wrote something about Israeli couscous. It's a misnomer. That's actually unrelated to real couscous. I know. Yeah, what is it? Oh, it says couscous
Oh.
is an Arabic word, and the dish comes from the Maghreb. And don't get me started on Israeli couscous. We'll be here all day, says Val.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay. Val's
I
got
know.
hot takes on couscous.
I know the pearled couscous is kind of what I've seen it labeled in the grocery store. It's kind of that. It's like
Sure.
it looks
Yeah.
like I mean, it's
It's
basically like
rounder.
pasta round.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But yes, they did have that in their dish. We have Kayla and Ryan Kate got snapper. I'm kind of going to blow through these last duos who don't get much time. They're kind of all in the middle. But Kayla, Ryan Kate get snapper. These are the girls from MasterChef who, and then she cut her thumb and her forefinger, so her like cast was getting
So
wet.
fucking badly. Did you see that cast? It was
Yeah, it's like the
insane.
full hand because it's both her thumb and
Yeah.
forefinger.
Sheesh.
Yeah. She looks like okay, picture you're watching like a high school movie and they're like, "Oh, this nerd over here wants to join
Oh,
Glee Club," and he's got it's like a Dear Evan Hansen cast. You know what I mean? It's gigantic. I'm like, she really significantly injured herself.
Yeah. Hey, that's what happens when you're going hard for Gordon. You run the risk of
so
blasting two of your fingers.
yeah, that's essentially what happened. I know, poor thing. Yeah, first weekend really, and she has that happen. It's kind of obstructing the way that she can cook. It's getting wet. Who knows what Australian bandages are like? No, I'm sure they're great.
They don't have band-aids out there. They're too
I
tough.
know it's too hard to find. No, I'm sure it's great. But yes, so that's their drama. Timothy and Athena don't get much of them. They got pork tenderloin. It was cute when they ran off to the pantry holding hands. They're the newlyweds.
I missed that.
That
That's
was very
so
cute.
cute.
Yeah. So they're being cute, but I think they ended up in the middle as well. Adam and Joel, the Southern brothers, they did cod. Tana and Kate, they're the ones from, I believe, South Dakota, landlocked state. So
Right.
they were given
Right.
scallops. So they
That
said,
was, yeah, that I was gonna say that was smart strategically. I was like, I
oh, sure.
understand why they gave them scallops. It was when they gave the prawns to the people from Boston. I was like, what happened?
Right. What's going on?
Yeah.
Exactly. So Tana and Kate, because they said we don't have fresh seafood where we're at, they get half a point.
Right.
Yeah. And I always look at scallop shells and I think those are just so beautiful. They look fake, right? Did you guys see those scallop shells? They look like Little Mermaid, you know? It's
Yeah.
Yeah, the
very,
bra
yeah, very
shells.
bra, very like a logo, you know, the Shell logo at the gas station.
Yeah, you're
Very
right. I always
perfect.
feel like I'm like, why is it so big relative to the amount of scallop on the inside? You know what I mean?
I see.
And
You
like
want
an
it all
oyster kind of
meat.
takes up the bulk of the shell,
Yeah.
surface area wise. Same with like a clam.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Huh, that's
I just
true.
feel like scallops got a lot of extra shell, you know?
It's because they're
I,
too
you
beautiful.
know, yeah, I never see scallops shelled. I usually get them all nice and cooked up.
Oh, like
Yeah,
a
fair.
king. Someone
Yeah.
Yeah.
brings me my prepared scallops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get rid of that shell. If I see a
Yeah.
Yeah.
shell, I'll
I'm,
off
I'm
with your
trying to
head.
think. I'll have oysters in a half shell, but I don't think I've ever really drank in,
All right, we got to go to
the full scallop experience. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
go
somewhere.
we got to
places
do
where you?
like a seafood tower place, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe sometimes. I think, yeah, it's rarer. It's
Wait,
probably because they
actually,
have to scrape it off.
they're the one this joint, right?
Wait, what are you talking
I
about?
think so.
Scallops
Like
shells.
they
Yeah,
fly. I
actually,
mean, they fly like that. Swim.
Are the ones that like flutter by like doing this?
yeah.
I think so. Which
Yeah,
again,
I think I did.
cartoonish.
I think I have had scallops in the shell then,
Nice.
because they're usually in the bucket with butter, right?
That is mussels.
Oh yeah, never mind. I'm back on. I have not had
Okay.
shelled scallops.
Well, a scallop, the shell is scalloped. Like it's got bumps, kind of,
Right,
or
right.
whatever
Oh.
you want to call that, if that helps.
Oh my
But you know
God,
what?
I just realized that's why we call the design element like a scalloped
I
edge.
believe so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
I am dumb as a rock. I can't believe I'd
Yeah.
never, I'm in my mid 30s, never put those two and two together.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at pictures. I have
Yeah.
had the big when it's like a big one half shell of scallop. I've had
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Had that.
Yeah. I
All
feel
right,
like
well, seafood
probably.
tower's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never
Oh no,
mind.
we still gotta go. We still gotta go.
Okay, let's hope they serve them somewhere. Great. And then finally, we got Zach and Michelle. They are they give themselves duck, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Because they were also, oh, did they get the we make this all the time points? Because they said that, right?
Yes, sorry, they lose a point.
Yeah.
We
Right.
make this at home, they said. It's one of our favorite things to make. They're
Yeah.
on the bottom, minus one
And
point.
they
Boo.
Yeah.
didn't render it all down, which I feel
Yeah.
like is I don't know. There's certain beats that come up on every single cooking show you've ever seen in your life, which is just like you got to render the shit out of that duck fat.
Yeah, don't even think about serving that with that raw fat on there. But yeah,
Yeah.
they struggled. I think they were at least aware that they had they weren't super happy with their dish at the end of the
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
But the fact that they had the advantage of choosing it and they chose that, which was one of the hardest proteins, like a very strange gameplay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are all of our duos. And moving to closer looks, on the top, we got Jesse and Jessica from Boston. They get it, all these top people get half a point. So they did seared prawns with sweet carrot ginger puree, spicy shrimp and duja jus, and mustard greens. The shrimp, they said they were cooked beautifully. Tiffany loves a puree. It was just really well done. Yeah, they really delivered on knowing their prawns.
Yeah, looked good. Loved it.
Yeah.
Then we had Rachel and Julio. They did the seared octopus, patatas bravas, spicy salsa roja, sweet chambord, pickled apples, and radishes. Yeah, everybody again really liked this one. I like Julio kind of said, "This is so exciting." He like whispered it when they were up by the judge's table, which I thought was very endearing.
That's what I mean. That's the energy they have is just like, wow, can you believe we're on TV? Do you know what I mean? Like they're not here to play like the reality show game. They're just like, wouldn't it be hilarious if we applied to this? And they got on, they're like, oh my gosh, let's make some food, you know?
Yeah, let's just crush this. Yeah, so that was cute. Gordon just gave them a little note that like he wanted more sauce because it was like the octopus is very thirsty, which was funny. But yeah, and Joe said it was better than the octopus at some of his restaurants. What a high praise.
That's pretty crazy. real dunk on his own restaurant.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't,
Yeah,
this does not
truly.
make me want to go to his restaurants now. I'm sure it's just a really good octopus by Rachel and Julio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Tina and Yvonne, they came in again. It's their second week in a row on top. They did the Korean style barbecue short rib, radish, kimchi, garlic rice. It was a 1 hour kimchi. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Is that I don't know how to make kimchi. Is that like what is the typical timeline on that?
I think a long time, like, I guess it depends, but I feel like I always see the thing of like you're making a big old batch and then you stick it in the fridge or let it go
Yeah.
underground for a bit.
Yeah, that was my thinking too, is that usually it takes a while because it's like pickled.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. As long as that takes, I guess. And yeah, I'm sure there's like stages where you can eat it early if you want, and it's just not
Yeah.
as
Right.
stinky
Not as
delicious as you want it.
fermented.
Yeah. But yeah, so they did it in an hour and it was still achieved the flavor they wanted. Tiffany wishes there was a sauce, but she loves it all the same. So yeah, then they announced the winner and it's Rachel and Julio. Yay, they get a point.
Yay.
Their first
Yeah.
win.
Let's
Very
go.
exciting.
Let's go.
Then we move on to the bottom.
Oh no. Oh no.
Exactly. And people are scared. No, we kind of saw a lot of these coming. So it's Azu and Javier, the divorcees. They weren't on the same page. They did the spiced venison with sweet beurre rouge sauce,
Oh,
mashed
I forgot about the
potatoes,
beurre
salad.
rouge.
Yeah.
I had never heard of it in my life. Like I know what a beurre blanc is. Then when they were
Yeah.
like beurre rouge, and then when they talked about it, I was like, oh, that's why I've never heard of it. It doesn't sound good. Why would I want a a butter and berry sauce?
Well, then they were like, this isn't it. This is a berry compote.
Right.
But then,
Yeah.
so I was like, well, is it just because they overdid on the berries?
Yeah, I
Or
don't. Or did they
did they not
technically
add
mess
red
something up?
wine? Like, I don't, yeah,
Yeah,
I was
I don't know.
confused. What was but
They
yes.
were on the bottom last week too, right?
Oh, were they? Let
I
me
might be
check my
misremembering.
notes.
Okay, while you're checking, I just feel like I feel like this kind of happens not infrequently on this show where there's a contestant where you're like, it doesn't if it were not for the fact that you seem like really good television, you'd be gone by now. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? If
Sure.
it's down between you and someone else on the bottom, okay, we've gotten the correction. They were not on the bottom last week. But I do
Right.
still feel like they're never really like standing out with their dishes, but the promise of having divorced exes on a reality show working
Yeah.
together, you're like, I gotta see them on more episodes. You gotta keep them in there.
I agree. Yeah, it's a different take, you kind of want to see them fight, but then you also kind of want to see them kiss. Do it. No. But they have that can't happen because they have he has a new it's a Modern Family.
That's right. Yeah.
But anyway, just the fact that yeah, so last week I think they're in the middle. I think they haven't pulled out ahead, but they did in their audition. I think I was surprised that they did so well. And I got the sense that they were okay because I think basically they beat out newlyweds, and the idea was like, well, they even though they're divorced, they've
Right.
known each
They've
other for
been
a long time,
through it. Yeah.
so they do know each other shorthand. And versus even if these two newlyweds are super in love, like they haven't learned they haven't been through it.
Right.
So, oh yeah, the funny thing about their dish was they had like the three pieces of like the three berries on the side that were just like lone
It's the
berries.
saddest little garnish in the world.
Yeah.
Gordon said it looks like from his son's lunchbox or something. I could see that.
There you go.
It's for children, children love berries. But yeah, so that was a little, yeah, the whole plate the plating looked a little strange. They kept showing them also just like keep like moving the venison strips around. And I don't know if they were using the same shot. It just did not look appetizing for some reason because of the
Yeah.
way they were shooting them, like prodding the venison strips.
Right. I don't. It's like I know that what happens back in the kitchen is like you do what you gotta do, but I don't want to see excessive shots of you like trying to like hold the meat with your bare hands and figure out what shape it should be in. You know what I mean?
Sure. But they did say that of all the things on the plate, the venison was cooked beautifully, so that's good. It just wasn't enough
Yeah.
to save all the other flaws. So yeah, I think the main issue here was communication, the sort of butting heads, stuff of divorcees.
Yeah. Doesn't bode well for a teamwork season where communication is sort of like the name of the whole game.
Yeah.
Hmm.
duos. Next is Ricky and Ashley. These were the siblings, Mike's siblings.
I'm so sad.
So yeah, they did the spice rubbed filet mignon, dirty rice, sweet chambord sauce, radish mango pineapple slaw. Val made the astute comment that their steaks do look like hockey pucks.
Oh no.
They have that cylindrical kind of disc-like shape to begin with.
Yeah, that's why you kind of try and avoid cylinder-shaped steaks for that sole reason.
Is that a rule? Is that like
No, that's just one I just made up right now. That's something I would just do.
Yeah.
Right. If you're gonna do
You want
that,
your steak to vaguely resemble Illinois. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Ooh, yummy. Yeah, I feel like if it is going to be cylindrical, at least try not to overcook or make it, burnt.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because of the spice rub, I think it was going to be not great no matter what. The fillets, they're medium instead of medium rare. Basically, I think it was Ricky. He put it in the oven, took it out. It was a little under, so he's put it in for another 1.5, 2 minutes, basically. And then Gordon said they'd gone gray because when you do that, it just makes it's too much. It's too much for the little fillets to handle. So yeah, that was the main issue. Yeah, they also were trying to make some sort of like dirty rice. They didn't comment on it much at the end of it, but it was a little concerning. Like they called it fried rice, and then I guess it's dirty. Yeah, I don't know. It was like a lot was they're trying to accomplish a lot. And
I didn't even pay attention to that. They pivoted from calling it a fried rice to a dirty rice.
I mean, I don't know if they consciously did, but in the like Chiron or whatever in the title of the dish, it says dirty rice. But initially they said, well, whenever we've had filet mignon, it reminds us of when we had it with fried rice. So like, what is that? But anyway, it didn't work out, and we didn't really discuss the rice at the end of the day. So who knows how that rice was? But the hockey puck's not good. Finally, Zach and Michelle end up on the bottom, even though they won last week and they had the advantage. No surprises there, I guess, because they did this crispy skin duck breast, sweet cherry red wine sauce, duck fat mashed potatoes, spicy mustard greens. They didn't render the fat, as we discussed. There's like a bunch of raw fat still in that duck. The whole plate is just swimming in sauce. Joe called it quite shocking. Not the best. Yeah, I guess there's no balance. And, I think part of it was, hey, you guys had this advantage and you squandered it. And you kind of gave they just didn't handle that advantage very well.
Yeah.
So that might have also been part of the punishment there. But
They also
basically.
knew it, because I remember, I think as soon as they called the last person for the top dishes, was it them? I might be picturing someone else. I don't take notes anymore. Like, Zach leaned over to Michelle and was like, we're going to be on the bottom.
Oh, might have been them. Yeah, I missed that, but it makes sense. They were disappointed in themselves for sure, which at least I'm more happy with that. Obviously, they're my team. I'm happier with the fact that like they are aware that when they screw up, so they won't do it again, or they're not like delusional.
Right.
Yeah.
But finally, when they call who is eliminated, it's Ricky and Ashley. It's a very like dramatic announcement because Azu like falls to the floor.
Yeah.
Crying. I mean, I guess happy tear. I don't know. It's like very whoa. And then like everybody's crying. Like, I mean, Zach and Michelle are crying.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot.
This sort of played into my thing again of just like, are they hanging out in between shoots, and are there like clicks? Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's episode 2.
Sure.
How are you that close to these people that you're like crying that they're leaving?
I was locked in. I was locked in with my boy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought maybe the bottom 3 duo reactions were more about like so relieved, like just a burst of emotion. I'm not leaving. I'm also sad they're leaving. This is how I express myself. So that's where like I was like, whoa, that is a lot of emotion. But also I could see it being just kind of like a release. But everybody does kind of cry. Even the people in the middle, they're crying a little bit even when Kevin and Trey left. Like some of the people are closer to Kevin and Trey than Kevin and Trey are close to each other.
Yeah.
Boom. But, it was very like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess they feel, good thing we don't have the tears points because there would be too many points. But
Right.
It does seem like it's just maybe just heightened emotions all around. And they're actually close because they probably all met each other long before and had to get there early. And I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it's like they're all still jet lagged. Maybe we're watching the thing they shot right after they landed, and maybe they all like took the same plane over, so they were together for like 16 hours or however long it takes to fly in Australia. And they just felt really bonded, and then they were tired and loopy. Who knows?
I believe it. Yeah, they met at the airport. I think Ricky and Ashley too. Like they are crying because they have a 16-hour flight back, so they're just they're pissed.
They're like, damn.
There was a tell in this episode where Ricky and Ashley said something to the effect of like, "Oh, this is like the most time we spent with each other in a few years," or something like that.
Yes, I saw
And
that.
I was like, "Oh, that's not good." I thought you guys were like twins who do everything together, and so your communication's on point. But I was like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah. Oh, fact check from Val. 8 years. Oh my God, that's so long to
Yeah.
not have done. Oh, that was the most time they'd spent together in 8 years. I mean, I believe it, right? They're just like adult siblings. If you don't live in the same city and you're, seeing each other once every so often for holidays, like
Right, but then
you
why
won't spend
apply
more
to
than
this
a few days
this cooking show together? You know what I mean?
to salvage the relationship.
Yeah, it does. It feels like the plot of like an indie movie to be like, my brother and I applied to this cooking show to save our relationship after, like mom and dad got divorced and we hated each other for 8 years or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I'd watch. I would watch.
I'd watch. Someone call A24.
Yeah. Um, also, like, it does seem, well, I mean, what the MasterChef Junior women probably are not, haven't seen each other and spent that much time together
No,
either,
because I
though.
remember they said that like they've met up a couple times and they did like pop-ups together and stuff.
Oh,
I would imagine they've seen each other more than Ricky and Ashley have in the last 8
damn.
years. Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, well, that'll do it then. That's not a very dynamic duo. But it's cute. They probably bonded them and they got to go to Australia together. Maybe they just went for the trip,
Yeah.
Maybe they did
like-
it for the vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the vacay. We did it for the vacay. I like that I cleared.
Yeah.
I tried 2 times and it just was bad both.
It's good. It's good. I think I like that. It's sort of it's the horse voice saying we did it for the vacay, meaning the vacay was so wild and crazy
So
good.
wild. Yeah.
that you came back with a horse voice. Amazing. So yeah, Ricky and Ashley, they're going home, now that leaves, I think, just the Southern brothers as sibling representation. Is that right?
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah.
Everybody else is either a couple or,
or a generational thing
some
like
sort
mother
of
daughter.
aunt niece,
Yeah.
vets who are vegans, the classic pairings. Okay, so we can get into the points breakdown here. So for the top, we got the closer looks of Jesse and Jessica, Rachel and Julio, Yvonne and Tina, each getting half a point. The winners were Rachel and Julio with their octopus. Very exciting. All the time, meaning they said they make the dish all the time and ended up on top. Jesse and Jessica, they get a whole point for that. They make duck all the time, but they ended up on the bottom. That's Zach and Michelle for -1 whole point, erasing their win from from last week. Then we have a couple little things of we don't cook with this a lot. That's Darcy and Courtney with the chicken being vegan. They get half a point. And then we're from blank and we don't have blank, meaning I think they're from South Dakota. They don't have fresh seafood. That's Tana and Kate with half a point. And we didn't have any awkward moments with them this episode where Tana was yelling at Kate or whoever's yelling,
No
whatever
weird passive
parent
aggressive
was.
backhanded parenting happening.
Yeah, so we love that improvement for them as well. So very exciting. This week I lose half a point.
All right.
So half a step back because I have, of course, Zach and Michelle. And I do have Tana and Kate. So at least they made it back with their little North Dakota scallops. Okay. Mike, you gain 2 points this episode.
What? Okay. Here we go.
Very exciting. And Iffy gains 3 points this episode.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Congratulations.
This is good stuff. So going off of our points collected last week, I have a total of 2 points. Iffy, you have 3 points, and Mike has 4 points.
Here we go.
See, look, these are numbers that make sense.
It's true. Yeah, it's a closer game. As we had with Top Chef last season, it was getting a little too spaced out. So I'm liking that we're back in here. I don't love losing half a point.
I just lose a team. You know what I mean? I have one less contestant to gain me points.
Yeah.
That's true. Ricky and Ashley are gonzo, as are Kevin and Trey, which reminds. So if he's the only one with a full roster right now.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be lasting long. So don't worry.
Who's your weakest, would you say?
If I'm looking, I'm scared of Azu and Javier.
Sure, sure.
The tension, the
They're
broiling.
volatile. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a situation where they're going to lock in and fall back in love, and it seems like they're going to be worse off.
Oh no, sure, sure. Yeah. They haven't, I guess this episode they did fall in the bottom. But yeah, you have Jessica and Jesse, you have Rachel and Julio, two very, very strong duos. Kayla and Ryan Kate, they probably haven't gotten to have much of their shine because of the injury. Because of
I don't know how
yeah.
long they are for this world strictly because of injury. That's got to slow you down. I'm not even talking about their skill level. I just mean like just physically. How long can you go with that bad of an injury?
Yeah, probably shook her too. I'd be kind of scared to go in with the knife again. But with each passing week, hopefully it heals. So that helps.
Yeah. Well, next week, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you were going to talk about this. The preview for next week was a team challenge on the beach, right?
Yeah, so this was interesting.
Like, if you get sand in that cast, ooh,
it's over.
Oh God, didn't think of that.
It's over.
Ouch. Yeah, get that sea breeze healing. It's the first team challenge. They're going to make a seafood dish for 101 fishermen and their families. And Val actually pointed out that because they're like outdoors, like, are they going to mention they're in Australia? Because they haven't said anything about that yet. So
they also usually interview the people when it's like, 100 cops, they'll go around, they'll talk to a few cops. It's like, well, if you talk to 101 Australian fishermen, they're all going to sound Australian. You know what I mean?
It's going to be a little obvious. Yeah, they'll have to talk about it, I'm sure. And I don't know. It's kind of funny.
They're not going to catch fish. They're going to catch fish.
Yeah. And certainly they'll have to discuss this. The big drama is they're like calling medic and someone's like lying on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
You guys catch that? They were on the ground on their side. It looked like they weren't moving. I don't know what, if they're repeating the same shot to make it more drastic, but it did seem pretty serious.
Yeah. I'm on the edge of my seat for next week.
We'll see. Yeah. So that looked a little scary. Hopefully it's not whoever Kayla who cut her fingers and it's not another injury onto the same person. Let's distribute these injuries. Let's go over some of these teams too, since we have some extra time. I know. So Mike, you still have Adam and Joel. You've got Tina and Yvonne, very strong. Both of them are strong. Obviously, Ashley and Ricky are gone, and you have Darcy and Courtney who are vegan. But hey, they have to cook with seafood again, so they could probably get half a point again.
Sure, yeah, I can claw my way up to the top half point at a time. I don't feel great about them. I don't. Look, I'll put it this way: I don't think they're going to make it to the finale.
Okay, fair. That's okay though. You can still make a lot of points with non-finale folks.
Yeah.
And I don't have Kevin and Trey. Obviously, I still have Timothy and Athena, who are the newlyweds holding hands. So that's cute. But let's
cute.
Let's use all of our hands, guys. Let's come on. Zach and Michelle, who lost me a point this time, and then Donna and Kate, who are my landlocked beauties. So yeah, well, get excited. We're on to a fresh season. I feel like it's really picking up. Any final thoughts you guys have?
Here's something that I forgot to mention up top that has nothing to do with MasterChef, but I need Iffy's take on it. I saw a video come up in my feed that Dylan from Great British Bake Off is shaving his head for charity, and I have to know because his hair is so glorious. And Iffy is the biggest Dylan proponent. I gotta know what you think of the prospect of Dylan shaving his head.
I think there's a chance where Dylan might look even better, like bald. He might be a bald guy, so.
Yeah, he has the kind of face that's going to look good no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say his face card is strong, so that helps your cause.
And the fact that he's doing it for charity, it's like that makes it hotter,
Yeah.
Yeah, they forgive you a little bit with the,
like, oh, you don't like this? Sorry, I was just doing it to, save lives, but
sure.
I guess if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
Okay, those are my only parting thoughts. I have nothing else to say about MasterChef.
Iffy?
Yeah, no thoughts for me. I'm just waiting to see how it all shakes out.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, and I'm glad we kind of checked back in on Dylan there. I'm sure we'll have much more. Oh, you know what I did see actually? Georgie, winner of last if we're talking about Great British Bake Off. Yeah. She was in the hospital. I'm not sure why, but I think so, send her some well wishes. This might be old news, honestly.
Okay, she might be fine now.
Yeah, she might be fine. Maybe the well wishes are not
Worked
necessary.
Retroactively.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they work sometimes. But anyway, speaking of previous contestants, we'll check in on them. But I know last season for MasterChef we did check in on the ones who were eliminated to see like how are they doing. I haven't done that for Kevin and Trey. I assume they're fine though. I wonder
Oh,
if they've
that's
met. You know,
right.
I wonder if they've hung out since, met each
Yeah, I
other's
wonder if they've
families.
made a
Um,
friendship out of their fake friendship.
yeah, I hope so. I feel like flying across the world together and cooking some good meals and one bad meal probably does bond you. So, you know, here's to them. I'll check in on them and Ricky and Ashley, and we'll report back next week. But yes, I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you. And
Yeah.
we'll tune in next week. If you like this podcast, please share it with someone. But also, please go to MaximumFun.org/join, where you can support us for as little as $5 a month. It really helps us out, keeps us going. If you have any thoughts or suggestions, please drop us a line on Instagram at TV Chef Fantasy League and follow us, or send us an email at chef@MaximumFun.org. Again, we love to hear restaurants you've been to, encounters with past contestants, or any other thoughts on things we've said. Please let us know. If you're doing your own MasterChef Fantasy League with friends, please tag us and tell us how you're doing. For full unedited episodes, you can check us out on YouTube. Thanks again to my co-host, Mike Cabalon and Ifiwadiwe. We'll be back next week.
Yeah.
TV Chef Fantasy League is a Maximum Fun production. Our producer is Valerie Moffat. Our engineer is Gabe Mara. Our theme song is by Dylan Van Auken. Our artwork is by Sabrina Volante. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at TV Chef Fantasy League.